Welcome to Breakthrough. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to click the subscribe button followed by the bell icon so you don't miss any future videos.
Often in life, I tell you what, the older I get, the more I know this is true. But often we feel a need inside of us to get revenge, and because I think we have this little balancer inside of us. It's like we give and take, and there's a book I read once that talks about the giver and the taker in all of us, and when the giver feels like he gave too much, he starts to take something, and when the taker takes too much, pretty soon he starts to give something, and it's different for all of us, that balancing act. But as a Christian, I don't know if we ever totally outgrow that need to avenge, the need to get even, and what does it feel like and what does it look like is a great question, I think, as a Christian. And I think we have to go all the way back to Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, when he was sitting in there and he took his disciples with him, and he took Peter, James, and John a little further, and they went a little further, and then he went a little further, and he said, just stay here and wait for me, I'm going to go pray. And he went and he prayed basically the same prayer 3 times, and he was asking God if there's any other way, because he was getting ready to, his ministry was closing down. He was getting ready to go and to be the sacrifice for the world. He was the lamb that was going to be slain. He was that sacrifice, and that sacrifice was not a something that was hidden from him. He knew what that meant. He knew what it meant to go to the cross. He understood the pain and the sorrow. Matter of fact, he prayed as if his sweat turned into drops of blood in anguish. And sometimes I think about the when we look at that, I think it's the same thing with us. We often have anguish or pain or sorrow or turmoil when it comes to the decision do I follow what God says, or do I want to do it my way? And the flesh and the spirit fight with each other often in our relationships, in our even our walk with God. I think especially our walk with God, and we have this tug of war. And Jesus said it in Matthew 26. I'm just going to quote it. He said, "Oh Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will." See, he came to the place, Jesus came to the place where he understood that his will didn't match up with what God's will was. And there was this great balance that had to happen in his life. He had to come to a place, and he went back 3 times, and in Matthew 26, verse 41, Jesus says something to his sleeping disciples after he woke them up. He said to them, he said, "Watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation." See, because all of us, confronted with an obstacle or a relationship or a person that has wronged us, we come to this place where we have to watch and pray. We really have to watch what we say and how we do it, and we have to pay attention. And right there in that verse 41, it says, "Watch and pray, comma." That's a pause, right? Time to watch and pray. That takes some time, and look at what I'm doing and pray. And then it says that ye enter not into temptation, and then there's that colon we talk about, and it says the spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. So what's in us is strong, right? Christ in us, the Spirit of God in us is strong, but the flesh side of us is weak. And so what the flesh side lacks is the strength that the Spirit will give us. And we've seen that in Jesus. Yeah, I often wonder, because see, Jesus was, he didn't have to go through this process, I don't think, for himself. I think he went through that process so that we could watch and see, because often we learn best when we see somebody else go through the process. We go, oh, that's what it takes. And then we begin to follow the leader, right? Jesus is our shepherd, and we are the sheep of his pasture. We're the ones that follow the shepherd, right? And so, see, the process, I think it was important for us or necessary for us to see the process, right, that Jesus went through. There's an old saying that we say a lot in church, or I've heard it a lot in church, but it says, hurt people hurt people. And Jesus is wanting to bring all of us out of that hurt or out of that situation. And he wants to bring us to a place of wholeness. If you want to pray a good prayer, it would be this: Father, help me to be whole. God, Father, set me free so I can be whole. Father, heal my body so that I can be whole. Right? Wholeness is not about one thing in particular. Wholeness is relationally, financially, physically, spiritually. It's in every area, because God will not leave any area untouched in our life. Matter of fact, he's looking for somebody that would be willing to lay down their life for him, just like Jesus did. Amen?